in the world. Prashanth holds masters from Carlson School of Business and Minnesota School of Business as well. So welcome, Prashanth, and please proceed further. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will not take too much time given what we have, but what I'll try to do is I wanted to shed some light on the art, science, and commerce all together. After Sudha's presentation, I don't think I'm in any way positioned to enlighten you guys on the technology and AI in general. But what I'll try to do is I'll try to see if I can show you guys a different lens of how corporations, how companies pivot using AI. And it's not about learning the skill set too, right? How to execute some of these things and how are companies using these things and how they are changing. So let me share my screen here. So what I'll do is, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what I'll try to cover today is the forces that are play in the marketplace and what IT companies are doing to pivot their path in AI. And I wanted to emphasize some AI-powered business models. So with that said, let's see forces at play. What I'm trying to emphasize here is the vectors that are acting in the marketplace. One of the important things, these are the driving factors of the business models in general. The first one is adoption of technology in US as well as anywhere else. If you see here, the X and Y axis shows you various digital products, and on the left side you'll see the percentage of adoption. And one of the biggest thing that you may be able to see here is the electricity. It took 100 years, a century for humans to adopt to electricity, from solar energy to power grid lines to everything to anything. And if you see the various aspects, cars, color TV, cell phones, social media, PC, air travel, and everything, there is a certain amount of time frame it took to pivot or adapt adoption-wise. But what I'm trying to tell you here is AI is not going to take 10 years. We have only like few years to adopt to AI, and things are going to change so rapidly. We are already seeing an amazing amount of companies using this technology and pivoting. We are talking about, yesterday we were talking about curing coronavirus using AI, detecting cancers, detecting brain tumors and everything. So what I was trying to say here is we don't have that much time to adopt to AI like other technologies we had in the last 100 years. One of the vectors, the prime vector we call it as, is API as an economy. For this, I will give you an example like Facebook and Twitter. What I'm trying to say is things are going to change. You don't need to have everything to build from scratch. The reusable APIs, API integration, as you can see, mobile backend, client ecosystem, partner ecosystems, internal innovation, transaction distribution, content distribution, all these are going to become a different economy, a commercial economy where corporations are going to start and more startups are going to be part of this API. But the biggest thing is the orchestration is the key of this model. The next biggest vector or the power play is the low cost of sensors. Like Sudha was mentioning about her obsession with autonomous vehicles. The cheaper the cost of sensors, the better data, the more data we will be able to do. If you look at the evolution of car or the sensor world, in 50 to 60 years, in the beginning, if to see a digital a temperature on your car dashboard was the biggest thing. Now you have every aspect of data that you can capture with the use of sensors. So today, car is basically a computer on wheels, not the other way around. We used to keep computers in cars. Now the car has become the computer. So this is a new way of looking at things and the new different aspect of the power play. The next one is explosion of new data pools. We talk about data a lot, but there are a variety of data pools we can talk about. And in the last 5 years, we are looking at different levels of data that are emerging. If you look at it, people are focusing on customer review data. We are looking at ratings data of companies. We are looking at location-specific data. If you go to any website, it is asking you to enable cookies. It is asking you to give them the location you are in. We used to not worry about it in the past, but that is where we are providing the data. You are the consumer of the data and you are the data, basically. So we are going to come across new explosion of new data pools in the next 1 to 5 years. The next one is 5G. We heard about 5G a lot, but one of the biggest power play that 5G is going to play in this era is not just, if you look at it, we have something called troubleshooting while we are working. But today, with the 5G that is going to be available in the next 1-2 years full-fledged, both prognosis and diagnosis will happen at the same time. And I think that is where we need to be ready. I think as humans and as enthusiasts of technology, we should be able to embrace those things where we can see both prognosis and diagnosis of anything in general, because the bandwidth is going to become 10x. And I think it is going to open up so many doors in terms of how we think, how we process, and how we troubleshoot. With all these power plays comes the business model innovation. So the 4 main business forces we were looking at earlier was API as an economy, low cost of sensor, explosion of new data pools, and the 5G. And what this leads is creating new models, business models, innovating new business models. Since we spoke about forces, what I want to do is I want to emphasize on how IT companies are responding to these 5 forces. How are companies adopting or adapting to these things? Let's start about talking about innovation. Innovation and Center of Excellence Labs. The top 10 companies. The reason why they're Fortune 10 companies, I would say one of the main reasons is they invest about 30 to 40% of their investment or tech budget in R&D. It is not the other way around. So they are completely creating products to understand customers' mind, and they want to elevate that conversation. If you look at Facebook, it's all personalized ads, customized ads. So any company that is going to invest in their Center of Excellence Lab and try to understand that consumer behavior is going to, lead this market. The second one is engineering AI products. What I wanted to essentially try to communicate here is instead of recreating or starting from the scratch, we can enhance the intelligence of existing products. Well, I wanted to take a moment here and talk about the different AI categories broadly. There are 4 different types of categories. We have conventional AI, which was started by John McCarthy since 1960. Then we have consumer AI, which is already advanced. For example, you have recommendation system by Amazon, Netflix, or eBay, or any shopping market. You have those recommendation systems. This is where we say consumer AI. They are already rapidly growing, and it is going to grow exponentially. Then comes the industrial AI. That's where we are going to see huge opportunities in future. And one of the example is I came across a company, and I know he's a good friend of mine. It's called as Flutura. It's an industrial IoT company, which is basically using sensors of gas companies to provide maintenance recommendations, or the life of a particular machinery, or the inflow and outflow of the oil within the machinery. So the next aspect of AI is the industrial AI revolution that will be happening. And the 4th aspect of this category is the security AI. That just took off. We are talking about blockchain and everything, but it is going to take another 1 to 3 years. But if you look at it, we are way away from conventional AI, and we are in the era of consumer AI, and which will be leading us into industrial and security AI. The third business model I want to shed light on is new business models. You may have heard already. We used to be part of service industry, where you pay a lump sum amount and you'll get all the services. Now we have subscription services. You have 3-month, you have a 30-day trial, then you have 3-month, then you have a 6-month plan, then you have annual plan. That is a new business model that companies are adopting. Then you have PPT. This is a very interesting concept that has already started to take off in the market. We have pay-per-views. for example, a specific match that you want to watch on a specific channel, then you can pay for that particular segment or that particular event, and you can pay a particular amount and you will be able to watch. In the airline industry, especially Boeing and company, they are now allowing you to pay per thrust. Basically, thrust is where you turn the entire engine on and it will let you move forward. So Boeing is coming up with plans where they are going to charge you just pay per thrust. You don't have to pay for the entire 0 to 100 of their services and everything. Just pay for thrust, put a particular output model, and you just pay for what you're using, and that's how things are going to go moving forward. And if you look at subscription model in India, in the last 3 years, right now on this call, I would say at least each one of you have 3 to 4 OTT platforms. Each one of you have Netflix, each one of you have Amazon Prime, you have Hotstar, and then in no later than a couple of months, you'll probably have aha.com or oho.com. So the OTT platform is what basically the subscription model. Pay for what you watch kind of thing. And that's another new business model, and it's all based on AI. These are all things are happening because the AI is allowing you to think and look at things in a different way and get what you want and pay for what you want. The fourth business model is new offerings and market. How AI is helping us to offer new offerings and market. The main fundamental concept around this is rapid experimentation with prototypes. In the past, long gone are the days where you have 2 to 3 years where you can think about a strategy, do your R&D, and then implement your idea. No, those days are gone. Now you have rapid prototypes, 30, 60, 90 days. Think about an idea, build that project, execute it. Find out the pulse of your consumer. If it works, good. So this is where you come, fail fast, learn fast. So in the world of AI, this is another way where you can find out about your experiments around new offerings and understand the market. So this is another business model large corporations are adopting. Co-creating products. This is another big thing. Yesterday, I think I heard a couple of questions around, I do not have technical knowledge, but I have business ideas. I think this is another big one that is happening today. The way things are happening is, what I was trying to say here is, for example, if you have a domain knowledge, you are a clinical psychologist or you're a clinical researcher, you don't need to know AI, you don't need to know data science, you don't need to know how to write an algorithm, you don't need to know NLP or anything. You can partner. You can co-create a product with somebody who already have these knowledges. It's not necessary or it's not mandatory to have both the things. You can still continue to follow your dreams when you can co-create product. But the biggest thing for this to happen is the trust, because that is where things will happen to co-create products when you have domain knowledge and technical expertise. This is another business model that is widely accepted in both, especially entire world. The sixth business model is forming partnerships. In Silicon Valley, this is what we call loose coupling. And what it basically saying is, we are going to form partnership, but there is no stake involved. One of the recent example is Apple and Google, both rivals, basically partnered together to fight against Corona. But what I'm trying to say here is, you can also do partnerships where there is no stake involved, but you can still find the output or the end result if there is that. And that this is where we call loose coupling. The seventh one is called investment, and we call this as tight coupling, because there is stake involved here. There is not much to emphasize here. You invest because your stake is involved, and that's where you focus on the output, and there is nothing else. You focus on the return on your investment, IOI, payback period, all those things. The last business model that I would like to emphasize is the mergers and acquisitions. This is another biggest business model that helps companies to pivot in no time. Either you merge with a company or you acquire a company that is going to help you scale in the next 1 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years. Long gone are the days where it takes 30 years to become $1 billion company. Facebook became $1 billion company in less than a decade. Look at Amazon. It took 25 years. Look at multiple companies. It doesn't take decades anymore to become $1 billion organization anymore, because the perception, the way of looking at things has changed with the amount of information we have, the new emerging technologies that are coming across. So how are they responding? Setting up new innovation labs or center of excellence, engineering AI products, or re-engineering existing products. The third one is exploring new business models. Fourth one is exploring new markets and offerings. Fifth one is co-creating products with trusted customers. Sixth one is forming partnership, creating investment funds, and the last one is acquiring companies. So beginning, we spoke about what are the forces at play. Then we talked about business models. I wanted to show you guys how these both, when we combine both the forces at play and the new business models, I want to emphasize on, show you guys some new models that you probably may have heard or probably may not. But I just wanted to emphasize some models, and then we'll move on to the next session. Disruption is everywhere: political, technical, technology, and economy. We are now living in a world called VUCA. A lot of people probably heard or maybe not have aware about this. VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world. When I started in this industry, I thought it's going to take at least another 10 to 15 years to be part of that world. But given this corona that came out of nowhere, the entire world turned upside down. Now the markets are volatile. The future is uncertain. The situation is complex, and it's ambiguous. So right now we live in a world called VUCA world. And what does it take to move from VUCA world and still succeed? I think it's disruption. The example here I wanted to share is, long gone are the days where you have a good movie and once in a decade you have a good movie, you're good to go. Now everybody wants Bahubali every single time. We don't have time to entertain 10 boring movies and good to go for one good movie. We want every movie to be either a Bahubali or a PK or an Amir Khan hit. That's what people are looking for, and that's what market is going to deliver. Let's look at horizons of technology disruption. This is just to show you guys how where we are, where we were, and where we are going to. Basically, past, different, beyond, and other. So 1995 was where we had the WW era, mobility and social and cloud. Now we are at visualization, early machine learning, data analytics, robotics, IoT, cybersecurity. Where we will be in 2025, we will be talking of nanotech, micro nanotech, advanced robotics, cyborgs, swarm bots, computing, quantum, neuromorphic, autonomous completely. That's where we will be in the next 5 to 10 years, based on what we see current trends. Whether it is pre-corona or post-corona, this is going to happen, and we should embrace it. And if we are really looking to thrive, we should not focus on surviving. We should focus on surviving, thriving, and pivoting, and basically be part of this emerging technology world. There are 3 dimensions of disruption, and disruption has become very normal. It has to be part of you every single day. It just cannot come to you in a month or 2 months. It has to be part of you every time if you want to be successful. And there are 3 dimensions. 1, we have emerging technologies. 2, we have business model enablers. And the third one is the exponential adoption curves. So it doesn't just going to happen, especially the disruption, unless you have the combination of these 3 things. So if you look at the emerging technologies, we are already looking at 3D printing, how to localize manufacturing, how we cannot depend on other countries or other states. We are already dependent on artificial intelligence. We are looking at advanced robotics. We're looking at virtual reality, Internet of Things already. On the business model enablers, we are talking about cloud services, miniaturization of sensors, computer power, API economies, crowdfunding, open source, freemium. Unless it is a 30-day trial, nobody wants to go for the subscription services. First thing we want to do is try, and that's what one of the business models made us believe in is if you try for 30 days, the average conversion is 47%. So any product you have tried for 30 days, you probably ended up purchasing it in 50% easily. Game is changing, guys. Winners are embracing new mindsets and tool sets. The OS that is in our head has to change. We have to rewire and reprogram the OS of our heads to be part of the winning culture, or if you want to be part of the disruptive world, if you want to become another Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or anything. So it's not just one thing. It is, as I said, it's not one size fits all. It takes a whole group of a whole lot of skill set, a whole lot of mindsets, a whole lot of technology. And once you start connecting all these things, that's what all the winners are adopting. As I said, disruption with AI, it has to be the new normal. So some examples, like I said, we have the forces, we have the business models. Let's take one of the examples that came across to my eye recently. There are certain comedy clubs. Normally, when you go to an event or a movie or a club, you pay entry fee. But now we have comedy clubs where you just go into the event and basically you pay based on the number of laughs. So if you look at the right side of this slide, you will see the seat numbers. And if you look at here, the average cost of laugh is 30 cents and the max ticket they're going to charge you is 24. So if you look at the seat numbers, because this is all based on the IoT sensors and computer vision. So if you look at the seat numbers, it is started to capture the number of laughs. And now this is pivoting into paper emotions, so number of cries, number of expressions you make. So things are going to go into that world where you pay for what you believe in. So things are already starting to change rapidly. So this is another example, a new business model and a new force at play. Another example I want to talk about is Saad Nasser. This is an example from our own backyard, from Bangalore. This kid is a 14-year-old from Malleshwaram. Malleshwaram is famous for vendors, whether it is fruits, vegetables, and anything in general, vendors. One day he was going to school, passing by this street, and he happened to see multiple vendors putting up stuff on their two-wheelers, which is basically calling for danger. And he was so tired of looking at these people, of their hard work and everything, and decided that he wants to do something for them. He ended up co-founding a company called Ati Motors, which is basically an autonomous e-cargo vehicle. And they just looking at they just entered into a $15.7 trillion industry, and it is already starting to pivot in India as well as abroad. Another big example, how to think or change the business model. We all know about Amazon, right? Shop and then it's going to ship in 2 days if you're a Prime member. But in 2013, Amazon came up with an anticipatory shipping. So in future, you don't have to shop before getting a product. They are going to ship 10 products, and you're going to keep 3 out of 10, and there you can return the 7. So they are going to change the consumer behavior too, and it's a pure genius business model, if you ask me. Next one is Akara warehouse. Yes.
Prashanth, sorry to interrupt. We got to wrap up at least another couple of minutes.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I have 2 more examples, and we can wrap it up.
Thanks.
Akara is a robotic company. This is another pure genius. 1,100 robots covers 18 acre of warehouse. They fulfill 625,000 orders per day. It's a grocery e-commerce company, and they fulfill 625,000 from picking the grocery, packing, and shipping. 0 human intervention. They started with 37 employees, and they have 1,100 robots. Completely autonomous, completely IoT, whatever you want to say. This is where AI is now leading us. Affectiva. Typically, humans are the only ones who can understand and feel the emotions of other humans. But now we have apps like Affectiva. It basically analyzed over 6 million things. Now, if you download an app, you put it in your pocket, and it can identify 16 different emotions, and also with percentages. If you're like only 50% happy, it is going to let you know you are only 50% happy. This is where AI is changing the how we think and how we process things, and at the level of emotion capture as well. Tombo, another thing. This is another Bengaluru tech, which gave US weapons as well as Israeli weapons the eyes. This is also the company that was able to put, if you look at this, this is basically a camera-based helmet, and this was used on multiple wars to see a real-time action. And this is also the only Indian device which is most advanced tactical imaging system in the world today. It is used in 25 different countries. It is also part of Rafael Advanced Defense System in Israel Aerospace Industries, and they're upgrading like anything. Another example that everybody might relate to, especially in India, is the cricket. You look at the DRS system or anything. Now we have predictions and whether it will hit the wicket, the impact, or pitching. This is what AI is capable of, or the business model, or the forces that I was talking about. Next one is another thing that is try-buy. There are multiple companies now in the market where you can just pick up your phone and you pick the product online, and then you can create a 3D avatar, and you'll be able to see how it is going to look like you. Especially in coronavirus era or the COVID era, you don't need to even go to a retail outlet to try it on. They're going to calculate. They're going to measure your sizes, and you can pick any different colors, and you can try it on virtually, and you can purchase it online. Given I have to conclude this, this is my parting thought. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. This is the biggest statement, guys. We are going to emphasize this over and over again. Unless you are willing to unlearn, you will not be able to relearn. That is my final parting thought. And I hope if you have any questions, you can shoot me an email. Given the schedule that we have, I will drop my email address in the chat box. I hope you guys enjoyed the session, guys.